Is Litecoin and Bitcoin still bullish? What's up, guys? Crypto Savvy here with your daily update. We're going to take a look at Litecoin and Bitcoin, and we're going to take a look at the targets I've had up for a while now, and just a quick run through and recap of those. I'm kind of make this a pretty quick video, but at the end of the video, I am going to go back to the Bitcoin versus the gold chart and look at why I believe that we do not have to see the big capitulation candle that everybody's waiting on. It's not to say that we won't see it, but I'm going to show reasons why I don't believe we have to see it. So stick around to the end of the video. It ought to be interesting. Thanks, guys.
1, 2, 3, jump!
All right, guys. As always, I want to start out by saying I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is my opinion and my view of the market only. Anybody that's doing any trading or any investing in this market, I suggest you do your own due diligence and your own research, as this market can be extremely volatile and risky. So with that being said, I want to give a shout out to everybody that's been subscribing, leaving your comments and giving it thumbs up. And I really appreciate it. It really helps the channel out, guys. So before we begin, if you haven't already or you're new here, please hit the subscribe button in the lower right hand side of the screen. Tick the little notification bell to get you notified when I post new videos. And then if you like the content, leave a giant thumbs up and leave your comments. Let me know what you think. And also, guys, if you belong to any groups, Discord groups or anything like that, it really helps if you guys share this video if you like it, and I'd really appreciate it. So let's get into the charts. Looking at Litecoin, as you can see, I had my targets here. We hit the 56.04 target. My next targets are on the $60 range. And after that, I'm looking at the $64, possibly $65 range. So what we're looking at here, I'm going to do a quick recap of how I came up with the targets. So first of all, we're going to measure this bull flag that we had here. We'll measure the flagpole from the breakout, put it up here where we broke out, and that gave us the $56 range. Now on the next one, if we look at that as this as the bull flag and put it down to the bottom there to where we broke out, that's what gets me the $60 range. Believe we could be headed there next. Now looking at the $64 range, the way I got that is you measure from where we break out of the channel down to the bottom, then you put it up to where we broke out, and that's what gets me to the $64 range. Like I said, it's just a quick recap of what's going on. Also, I want to point something out here. We are in the daily chart, and we've had a cross of my 8 EMA crossing the 200 EMA right here. You can see it right there. And that's a pretty bullish sign, and that's why I do believe we continue up from here. And I do still have my lower range target here around the $37 to $38 range, which would be the bottom of the channel. And that is if we were to break back through the bottom or the top of this channel. That would be my next target. And actually, within the next couple days, if we don't break through this, I will end up moving this target up to this support and resistance line at the 41.17. So let's get into the RSI. I like to show the RSI to you guys because that's, the main indicator I use besides the EMAs and also some Fibonacci. But right now, we're going to look at the RSI, and you can see this rising wedge that we've been in, and this is the reason I believe that we have another move up to touch the top of this rising wedge, and then obviously we should have a correction after that. But that's why I do have the targets up where I have them. And excuse me. The other thing right here, we're looking at the 4 hour. I had this symmetrical triangle drawn here, which we had popped out of here, came back up to test the bottom for support, got resistance. Or tested for resistance, got resistance, bounced back down, and then back up through. Tested the top for resistance, got rejected, come back down, came back down through the triangle, back up to the top. And I do believe this is printing what looks to be a bull flag, and that's where I believe we're going to get our next move up here. Now, mind you, after this next move up, I do believe we're going to have a correction, and the correction could be coming down to test the top of this channel again, which, depending on where we go up here, would be around the $51 range. And again, that's after I believe we reach one of these targets, either the $60 or $65 area seems to be what we're looking at. And I'm going to also real quick show you how I got the $64 range, because I haven't showed you that, but that would be looking at this. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. That would be looking at this line right here, this support and resistance line at around the $40 range. And that would be considering this to be an Adam and an Eve. And if we measured from the neckline, from the $41 range down to the tip of the Adam, and we brought it back over and put it to the top of the 41 where we broke out, that's what gives the $60 range. Now, the other range I have here, obviously, I think I don't know if I showed you or not, but I'm going to show you again, would be measuring the channel from the top to the bottom. And then we would put it up to the breakout of the top of the channel, and that's what gets me the $64 range. So that's where we're at on Litecoin. I'm going to move into Bitcoin now. And like I said, guys, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. Tick the little notification bell to get you notified when I post new videos. And please like and comment and share it if you belong to any groups. I'd appreciate it. So looking at Bitcoin in the daily now. And we're going to go through these targets too, how I got these targets. This one here, the 4180 range, that is where we topped out on the last move up, and I believe that we'll get some resistance if we get back up to this area. And we're going to look at the longer term targets I have and just show you how I have them here. Now, this symmetrical triangle here, which we've popped out of, came back down, tested as support. It's become support. I'm going to measure the longest area in the triangle and then bring it up to where we originally broke out, and that gets us up to the $5,000 range here. So that's that longer term target. And then just like in the other one, I'll go into the well, let me put this line across here so you can see. I'm going to put a line across right here. Just like in Litecoin, this was an Adam and Eve, which is possible, or this could be a cup and handle also. But I'm going to do a measured move out of it as if it, whoops, I'm sorry, I put that in the wrong spot. Let me bring it back down here to the neckline, to the tip of the Adam, and we bring it back up to tip of the Adam, and that brings us to the $5,000 range. Wait a minute. Actually, this has to move up, guys. Sorry about that. This would be the peak. So we would measure right here, this next neckline, which is at about 4180. And we would measure the Adam, bring it up over here to the top, and that's what gets me to the 4250 or 5250 range. Now, if we were to get that range, that would get us above the 200 EMA, which I believe we would come down and test for support. And if we got support on that, obviously, you know, we may move sideways for a while and then up. So, and remember, in a few minutes here, I'm going to compare the gold to Bitcoin chart and show you why I don't believe that we have to have a big capitulation candle, and we could have seen the bottom of Bitcoin right here. So anyways, let me zoom in a little bit. Also, this is my low target here, and this would have been from the breakout down here if we were to measure this flag here, if this was going to be a bear flag, and that would get us down to the 3250 range. That is possible, guys. Keep that in mind, but we need to watch the top of this symmetrical triangle for support. And if we came around it right now, it would be around the 3650 range. And there's also a 3650 support and resistance line right here. That's an area to watch. If we break down through that, then we're going to be testing support at 3483. But I do see us moving up from here at least to the $4,000 range, and I'm going to show you why. But first I want to look at the RSI here. As you can see, I had this rising wedge kind of drawn in here, but there's also a channel if you look at the bottom dotted line and then a top straight line. And we've came up to test this bottom for resistance and got rejected, and I believe we're building momentum now to break through. And I'm gonna go into the 4-hour RSI, and we see the same thing. Excuse me, I have that rising wedge drawn here with the channel here, which we popped down below the channel, came back down to test for resistance and broke through. And now we've tested this trend line here for resistance, got rejected, came back up, test for resistance again, and come back down. And if we look here, there is, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there is some hidden bullish divergence here. And what that is when we're in a little uptrend like this, and this, the lows here go straight across, whereas in here it's going up. So that shows a little hidden bullish divergence, and that's what brings me to come up to this area. Now again, we're in the 4-hour now and gonna look at these targets. Excuse me. And this target here I had by measuring this bull flagpole from the breakout down here, and then let's zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. And we move take the measured move up to where we broke out, would be, this would bend the bull flag I'm looking at, which we, could still be on our move up. And that's where I get the $4,000 range, guys. I also have a support and resistance line right here at the 3970 range, and I'm sure we'll get some resistance here, maybe pop up through. And then that brings us up to the higher target, which is our old resistance here. If we're able to break through this, I believe we'll get some resistance here, maybe come back down, test this 3970 area again for support. If we get support, then continue up from there, and that would bring us to the $4,300 target I have right here. And that the 4,300 would match up with our old resistance right here, support right here. So them are my targets for now, and I showed you the bigger targets. If we were to break up through this, then we're heading to the 5,000 to the 5,250 range, guys. So if you have been keeping up with my videos, you'll know that I'm not a day trader. I swing trade, so I'm not too concerned about all the little moves getting to the targets. Obviously, we're gonna have small corrections and whatnot, but I like I said, I play swing trades, which could be days to weeks sometimes. So anyway, let's get into Bitcoin chart on the Bitstamp, and we're gonna look at the comparisons to gold, which I'll show you gold right now, which is here. And I've drawn the top dotted trend line down to where we broke down at the 6,000 all the way across, and then this yellow trend line from the second peak all the way down. And I've done the same thing in gold. And as you can see, the resemblance of the two charts. And remember, guys, that all markets are based on human emotion, and human emotion almost always plays out the same. And markets are cyclical, just like human emotions. So what I've drawn here, and then I have a yellow trend line, long-term trend line drawn at the bottom, which I'll zoom in a minute and show you we've bounced off of. There is also, for the bearish scenario, I have a dotted white line here that would as another long-term trend line. that if we break through the yellow, that would be our next support. So I'm going to zoom in here, guys, and look at what's going on. As you can see, we have no long capitulation candle, but I'm going to show you in gold that we didn't have one either. But once we broke out of this, we bounced off of this bottom support line over here, bounced off it here once we broke through the yellow trend line on the top from the all-time high. So once we broke through that, now we've continued up, and we're bouncing above my EMAs here, which are the 8, the 13, and the 21 EMA. Also, the yellow is the 55, and we're getting support on that. And that's what could bring us up to this $4,800 range, guys, which would be the 200 EMA. That's why I believe if we break above into the $5,300 range, this could become our support after that. Now, obviously, that's a little ways away, so I do want to show you, like I said, we've had 2 touches here. Could move this up a little bit, consider it 3 touches. But actually, I mean, it's more touches than that if we zoom in. Obviously, it's this candle's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that verifies that bottom trend line for me. But like I said, guys, we could come up, you know, test the 200 EMA, come back down, do another test down here, which would probably be around the 35.50 range. And if that does break, which I don't believe it will, I believe we will hold here. But if it does break, our next support would be down here in the $2,200 to $2,500 range, depending on where we hit if we did break through. But now I'm going to go into gold, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to zoom in. As you can see, I had the trend lines drawn the same in here. And what happened with gold is a little bit different, but not much. We almost come down and test the bottom trend line for support. And then we tested again over here with quite a few touches. Let me zoom in a little bit. And this is the weekly chart, but Bitcoin moves a lot faster than gold. So, but as you can see, we have touches down here on that bottom trend line. But when we broke through this trend line from the all-time high of gold back then, you know, we continued on up. We crossed all our EMAs and continued up from there. And what's fun to look at is what it done after that, which could possibly be what we're going to be seeing in Bitcoin. Maybe not as drastic right away, but just to show you guys, that's what it looks like zoomed in. You know, we had a huge parabolic rise after that. Now we'll go back into Bitcoin and zoom into about the same area and see what that looks like, and then switch back and forth and do a little comparison. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention, we zoom in here to the bottom when Bitcoin or gold bottomed here, I'm sorry. There was no capitulation candle whatsoever. Just like in Bitcoin now, you know, they say when you bottom of the market, you'll see huge capitulation candle, which a lot of times you will, but it's not necessary. And that's why I wanted to show this here. There is no big capitulation candle, and that was a pretty big bottom from a pretty big top. So like I said, not saying that it isn't gonna happen, but I am saying it doesn't have to happen. So if that's what you're waiting for, you know, it's possible it doesn't happen. And I do believe we have seen the bottom, but as you can see here, it's almost identical to what happened there, and the next move would be the parabolic rise coming. And not to say it's going to happen right away. Like I said, we may come down and test this one more time, but I do believe once we break the 200 EMA, then we may have some sideways movement for a while, and then continue up from there and begin the bull market. I will show you again the comparison, and then we'll switch back and forth kind of and look at it. But yeah, as you can see, guys, it's very similar, almost eerily similar. And that's what I'm looking at right now, guys, for possibility of, you know, the next bull run starting very soon. So If you do like the video and like the content, there's a Crypto Savvy logo above my head. Click that. That'll get you subscribed. Tick the little notification bell to get you notified when I post new videos. And if you would, share in other groups. And give it a giant thumbs up if you like the content. And leave your comments. Let me know what you think of the video. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good day.